Gonna vibe with the tribe. Kirby, what up, though?
We live and direct, brother.
Let's do it.
I'm breaking it down, right?
I work up my way up, you a way stuck, get your way up. Y'all looking for pay, cuz all of my people's to wake up. Sleep,
Frank Ocean.
D, P, designs that meant for the weak. Fools, choose, I'm making a break of the rules. Fools, choose, and see how I'm busting the moves. Bless, everything else just a test. Stress was created from thinking the less.
Greetings.
Me and Kirby finessing the beat.
Ten, chose.
Emma, we repping the street.
I am the chief. My energy different, electrical vibe. Come get you a vibe.
This is my land, is my only reply.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, chill it out. Yeah. Bag in the bag. No book for the papers. Ain't got time for my bitch. Cause I wanna.
My apologies. Yo, what's the vibes, tribes? This is I Can't Make This Shit Up podcast. Freedom of speech with your boy, Big Chief. Not the little one, GeeDaStar, flower, melanated god of love, man. I appreciate my brother and my sister for pulling up and enjoying this time with me. Shout out to my sister Gifted, and my brother Icon, Circle of Gods is in the building, y'all.
Salute.
I just wanted to drop some content today, so I said I'm gonna go ahead and do a freedom of speech because I'm pretty sure a lot of people has a lot of things on their mind. You know, let's get it off. Let's get it off your chest. You know, because when we bottle those thoughts up or whatever the case may be, it turns into anger, and when it gets released on those who it's not meant to be released for. On, should I say? I'm just speaking on all personal experiences. I was once one of the ones that used to bottle a lot of things up, you know, and then I'll release that anger on those who didn't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I created this space, freedom of speech. Let's talk about it. You hear me? Also vibe out to some good music as well. You know?
Greetings.
But this is my brother Icon. This is my sister Gifted. One of my good
Greetings.
sisters that's really pushing that, you know, goddess energy out here, you know?
Absolutely. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Absolutely.
I don't like the fact that I cannot hear y'all the way I'm supposed to. Hold up, man.
Gifted, can you hear me well?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Like I hear y'all, but it's like low. Like you know when somebody call your phone and then you jump back on and the sound be like lower. That's what it sound like right now. Like somebody called me and then I don't know. It's weird, but whatever. But how was y'all day? How was
My
y'all
day is
day going so
great.
far?
It's going great.
Okay.
I'm still in the healing process, but it's going great.
Okay. You know, I know where you at with it, sister.
Yes.
You know, that's why I told you before. I like to give people some time, you know, because I know how it be. I've been there multiple times. So I already be knowing, man. Some people be needing their space, you know. Some
And
people
I
be needing their
appreciate you giving
space.
me some space. I appreciate that 100%. Um, so what's on my mind today is the lack of communication between the male and female species.
Let's talk about it. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it. Hold on, let me grab my
Yeah.
speaker.
So
I'm 100% with you on that one, sister. Hey, my brother Icon kind of spoke a little on that yesterday, I believe, on your platform, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, that's an everyday occurrence whenever I'm on social media. Breaking down the social construct, identifying negative programming, which is stifling our creative thought processes to having honest conversation or open conversation with the masculine principle and the feminine principle. So I'm all for that conversation always, every day.
okay, brother Icon, let me ask you a question. How
Yes.
do you feel that we need to bridge the gap between our species to communicate?
That's a beautiful question. I would answer it in this way. One would have to first understand the root of the problem, and that's the difficult part: getting people to actually take the initiative to do the homework, the research, to discover the origins of why these things exist in the first place. And therefore, that's why I bring forth the conversation of social constructs, which I tell people all the time. You can go to your search engine and type that in, type in social constructs and read it and study it and understand what it's all about. And this is really the building blocks of our thought processes, right? And the tool box that we have that was given to us by the enemy through their schools,
Mm-hmm.
their institutions of learning, in every phase of
Bluetooth
that, whether that's in
pairing.
the world of academics or in the world of finances or in the world of religion or spiritualism. If we don't understand the basis, these thought
Bluetooth.
processes that lead us into these dark spaces and cause us to be separated from each other, then
Mm-hmm.
there's no real way to have that conversation where there's going to be understanding unless you meet somebody that understands these things, you know. So it has to start there if we ever want to make some real ground. People got to understand what things come to the mind from the programming of someone else that causes confusion, and then
Mm-hmm.
rectify those things, and then make the proper mind adjustment to actually engage and then seek solutions. I would start
Okay.
there. Mhm.
All right. So then my next question is, do you believe that women raise their daughters and coddle their sons?
Uh, I'm not gonna say 100%. There are cases where that happens, and by design that happens. We can go back through history, his story, our story, or just stories. Period. Uh, and we can come to the conclusion quickly through chronicling the fall of the family. First of all, the breakup of the family for certain people, and then the fall of families through the dictations of those at the top of the totem pole. That small 1% that dictates to the rest of us up under that constructed banner. So yeah, there's a lot of coddling of the young boys, and we already know, especially, and I'm not being using racism, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but especially when it comes to young boys of color, you know, they are targeted. We already know that there's a target. The history already proves that. We don't have to go too far to get the information to prove these things. It can be proven
Mm-hmm.
at the time. So the women gonna naturally feel an inclination to do more protecting of the little boy, um, because of the threat that the masculine principle would bring to those who are in masculine positions of authority. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of cases in to those that do the calling they do, and the young females I'm seeing in some cases there's disdain from the mother to the daughter because of insecurities, jealousy, and the younger version of yourself in your daughter. So she kind of gets in some cases get the sideways look or some mistreatment because to some women their own daughters is a threat. Now,
Right.
that's crazy, but that's the reality.
Right. Okay. Um, so how do we change that scenario? How do we change the roles of coddling your sons and disassociating yourself with your daughters?
Uh, I think one of the things wisdom would tell me in this instance, um, as hard as it may seem, you gotta keep your family together. I mean, I understand that there'll be issues. There are some issues that can't be avoided. Like if you with a child's father that's abusive, physically abusing you, mentally and spiritually abusing you, of course, there will be nothing from me um, to latch myself onto that thought process. I'm all for women getting the hell away from that. For none of us have the authorities to beat women or be abusive to women or vice versa. So I think that wisdom would tell me that getting the understanding again, because this is pivotal. If we don't get the understanding of the importance of family, If we don't understand that there is a force that's trying to keep us separate and have broke us down, because right now in the world today, men, I'm gonna say basic men. I'm gonna tell you why I say basic men, because we got this conversation out in the atmosphere about high value men, and this is the premise based off materialism and how much money you have and prestige or your networking system, and this is the basis for what a man is supposed to be considered high value, and it takes away from the spirituality. It takes away from the warrior mentality, because as men, we are a part of the military, the part of the protecting factor of our families, our community. So the man has been broken all the way down, and we need to understand how that happened, why it happened, and how it's benefiting somebody else. And our sisters gonna have to understand too that we live in a world dictated by people who never treated us right. So if a person or people don't teach you right, don't treat you right, you know they're not going to teach you right. So the things we've been learning and the things that we have been forced to accept because we didn't have a say so, and the information out here that we use to problem solve, do conflict resolution, it doesn't work because the system needs the chaos. It needs us to be in the frame of mind that we're independent. I don't need no man. I can do it by myself, or I don't need no woman. You know, I ain't putting up with the nagging and the headache. And what's happening is we're becoming, we have been for a long time, to put it this way, agent provocateurs in our own destruction. We don't have family. We don't have family anymore. There's no sitting around the breakfast table eating a nutritious meal from mama. There's no sitting around the dinner table eating a nutritious meal for mama. Daddy's not there giving instruction and making sure he's backing the sister and the sister's backing the brother. We too caught up in breakups and heartbreaks and you cheated on me and all this stuff. And we're not looking closely at nature. And nature tells a different story from what man has put out there. Man, in his human capacity, is prone to errors and mistakes. And when I say man, I'm talking about man and woe man, womb of man, us. You can't get that together. It's going to be kind of hard. Not impossible for the people that's actually stepping over there and initiating, but for those that won't even have an open mind to the reality of what really is, because they still stuck in a fantasy or this illusion from the oppressors.
Okay. I receive that. I respect your answer. Um, I guess the reason why I'm asking these questions is because I like to build with people. And when I'm building with people, I notice that there's a disconnection between the male and female species, and that they're so far gone that it's like there's no reeling them back. I don't know how we can build as a unit if we can't even come together and sit down and break bread.
I think this is a display right now of what we're doing. And this is what I like to do when I'm creating shows and having these kinds of conversations. The one thing I like to pull off the table immediately is what we can't do, because I want to show people we're already doing it. There are feminine principles, women, goddesses, empresses, or whatever great name we can put on our beloved. Well, we get along just fine. We aren't debating. We're not blaming. We're talking about the controversial issues between us. But I like to put on display the fact that we can be in rooms and talk to each other, not at each other. That's how I run my spaces, period. I'm not with the trolling. I'm not with the man bashing. I'm not with the women bashing. I'm all for the open, honest conversation. We have a problem. How do we solve it? And we're not going to get there by blaming each other and not addressing the issue from the root.
They do. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna put some headphones on.
Okay. Chief better come on back to his show. He don't just left us.
Yeah, he left us.
You can hear me?
Not yet. It's connecting. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, it didn't connect. Yeah, it's connected to yours. Okay, give me one more second, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it didn't connect that time either. It's okay. I'm not gonna worry about it. Um, anyway, um, I received what you were saying, and I do agree with you 100%. Um, I just feel like we need to bridge the gap some kind of way. I don't know how. I don't know what it's gonna take to make us bridge it, but we really need to focus on getting that done.
Yes. I think this is one of the easier ways, by utilizing this technology. I try to use it responsibly. It's a lot of different things that happen in social spaces, through the social media sites that we have. But one of the great things, just to give you a little bit of history about myself, I served time in federal prison. I
Hmm.
was there for an extended period. I'm talking 28 years, 1 month, and 2 weeks in prison.
Hmm.
So I had an opportunity in prison to do a lot of reflecting, self
Hmm.
self analysis, self examination, and I was also blessed, tremendously blessed, when the intervention took place in my life in prison. Because now I'm out of the society, out of the community where I was running rampant and doing a lot of criminal things. I don't come from that kind of a background per se. I did grow up in the project, so I was always around a lot of corruption. I've seen it within my family, and I also followed one of my family members that I looked up to, that led me into that field. And that's not to accuse or blame. It's just a young boy growing up in a world that he had no real knowledge of outside of basic things and how to do stuff within the home structure. I didn't grow up with my father, witnessed my mom battle drug addiction. Good people. I love my dad. God bless him. Love him. My mom, my beautiful queen, may she forever rest in peace and power. But it's just when you in these atmospheres and you have time to think. And I knew coming back out to society, I got out in 2019. I had to deal with 6 months half house, 6 month home confinement, and 60 months, 5 years of probation. I have 8 months left on my probation,
Hmm.
which will be up in September of this year. So I've had the opportunities to, through my intervention, to turn the prison into a university for myself. And
Hmm.
one of the things I learned fast is, if you're not stepping in front of that mirror to deal with yourself, let's not talk about what the next person is doing and what they're not doing.
Hmm.
They're doing good or doing bad or doing wicked. The question becomes, what am I doing to cause
Right.
to cause pain in my life or cause pain in other people's life? What am I missing? So while I was in prison, I am a big lover of education. I love education, always have. The real me is a lover of the arts. I love poetry. I love dance. And I love a different aspect of society and culture. Uh,
Hmm.
that was counterclockwise to where I grew up at, and having that kind of a pressure to be this macho, masculine, tough, like young boys are taught men have to be a certain type of a way. And for me, I had to script all of that down and deal
Hmm.
with me. So I was going to major. I remember I signed up for a college. I got my GED, because I kind of got off my path for education. And got back into it in the prison, and I was gonna major in psychology because I love the thought process of how the mind works, why we do what we do and say what we say, and that what led me on this path of self-correction, self-analysis, and information and exposure to other men and women in the world that was talking this type of talk about value of self and value of family and community. So this is where it starts. It starts with the conversation. It starts with like-minded people who may not agree on everything, but know how to handle a conversation, and it don't become a blame game. If people truly desire change, you have to become the initiator of that within your individual capacity, before you can get others to join on. For certain,
Right.
I feel that, believe that.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of history about myself.
Yes, ma'am.
I am a psychologist.
Okay.
I took
Okay.
psychology in college. Um, I own a performing arts company. I own a online school system.
Okay.
I own a organic growth company, and I own a clothing line.
Oh, okay.
Um, I do have property. I am an entrepreneur. I am a successful businesswoman. I never been to prison, but I have family that have been.
Yes, ma'am.
So I get where you're coming from and I understand your position and I receive it. I respect it. And I love that Florida Gator sign behind your head.
Ma'am. Shout out to Florida. Yeah, born and raised,
Yeah,
indeed.
shout out to Florida Gators. I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, but that's okay.
Okay. Hey, we love the cheeseheads too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I work from home now. Um, I have 2 sons, 5 dogs, 5 big dogs, that is.
Okay. Okay.
Um, we protect ourselves. My sister and I stay together and we protect ourselves very well. We are our own army of
Okay.
two.
Okay. Indeed.
Um, we believe in building with others. We've come to a position where it's like everybody has their hands out,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody has their hands to receive, if that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
They just want something. They want a hand up, not a handout. They want a handout, not
Not
a
a
hand up. I
yes, ma'am.
said it wrong the first time.
Yes, ma'am. I know.
So,
I get
yeah, it became difficult for us to build with others because of that. We started to see, um, yeah, through the BS, the bullshit. We started to see through the bullshit, and we started to understand that you can't help everybody. You can't save the world.
you. Right.
So you got to start with self.
Absolutely. 100%.
And that's what we've done. We've built around ourselves.
Right.
And we are trying to build with other people, but it seems like their mindset says one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they heart say one thing and they mind say something else.
Okay.
They see the financial gain or they see the financial glory or they see the success and then they like, oh yeah, I want to be a part of that. But then when it comes to the leg work or the hard work or the hard part of it, they can't fulfill their obligations.
Yes. Yes. And this
It's like I need you, I need you, I need you. But what are you bringing to the table?
exactly. Exactly. I think that's respectable. And I would only interject this in hearing that uh one of the things I also try to share with people, like for myself, I didn't transition with technology. Now, computers were out before I went to prison. I was arrested in August uh,
Mm-hmm.
of 1991. So there was no smartphones, there was no laptops and tablets, and you had to get it the old school way. You either knew somebody that knew that can give you references, or you had to go do your own research, or you just had to have some form of courage to step out there. Being in the world of criminality did teach me one thing, and that's how to do for self, because you have to go out into them streets and you have to learn things very fast, or you can get hurt. And if you're out there to be an earner, you're gonna have to get in one of the businesses. You either peddling drugs or you robbing. Either one is a job that you have to manage. So what I tell people in my learning in this growth process, one of the things that I strive to do is go out and get your hands dirty. And what I mean by that is you have to take the approach. If I can come to a person who or a group of people that's in a position to help me, I want to come already showing that I got skin in the game already. I'm doing the necessary work when I meet you, because you find me doing things according to what it is I feel my gifts and my talents are. And I try to help people discover that, how to cultivate that by exposing myself, you know. So I think more people, if they really have a desire for the different things that can be viewed as an opportunity to get that hand up, already be in the process of helping yourself. You know, I don't know much about technology, but I'm here. I have a podcast. It's not a professionally fitted podcast, but I have one. So that means that I'm not sitting back waiting on somebody to tell me how to do these things. I'm doing exactly what my sisters told me upon coming out of prison. When they pushed the smartphone in my hand, they told me to get busy, and that's what I've been doing. So when I meet people now along the way, what I'm saying is I'm going to do all that I can to put myself in a position to win. And if the Most High see fit for my path to cross with people that may be in a position, I would want them to immediately know I'm not just sitting back doing nothing. I'm dead serious about this here, and that cuts away the BS part of it. Finding people like that is not as easy as it may seem, because those constructs, the negative programming, it builds a character with people, and it's the character, the negative character, doing the representing instead of the person. The person has not discovered, they have not discovered their powers. They have not discovered that they have the Most High given right to exercise or whatever it is they need to exercise to bring peace into their life, stability into their life. And they don't need permission for that. You just need proper information, correct information, and a willingness and a desire to do something.
Okay. So I feel you, bruh. I don't have much to say against what you're saying.
Yes. I got
You're
it in theory. I got it in theory. It's the practical application part, and that can be intimidating for people too. When you meet people that have their stuff together, and you're not really focusing on the sacrifices that were made. You're just looking at
Hey,
people that's
y'all.
in position,
They
and
playing
that can
big
be
games with
intimidating
me
to people
today.
too. So we have to find a way to make it less intimidating as well, to come into these ciphers with educated people, especially when you're dealing with uneducated people as far as the world of academia is concerned and what goes with that, you know.
right. So I'm big on education too, and I'm a history fan. I love history. I love unadulterated history. That means the raw, uncut, the truth about what happened.
Absolutely.
So, um, with that being said, I can see your perspective and I can see your point of view. Um, I just don't know how it's going to pan out. How is it going to work? Because it's hard to find like-minded people that have the same mentality as yourself.
Stay vigilant and use extreme amounts of patience. Because, like, for instance, and this is a for instance case, I've done this so many times since I've been home. While I'm in social media or if I'm out in the communities, just being my normal self, I see people. We may cross paths at a grocery store, at a gas station, somewhere. And, you know, because I'm a people person like my mother, you know, and people are inclined to me very quickly. That's the magnetism I feel Most High gave me. So what happens is when we become proficient in setting up engagements, one of the techniques I do is it's my demeanor, what I've done to improve. So instantly when I'm out and about, it's always a smile and it's some form of a greeting to people. Even if I don't speak to them, I want to acknowledge them. Like, I see you, brother. I see you, sister. You know, you don't know nothing about me. I don't know nothing about you, but I know that we live in a world, and at least I know from my vantage point, I've done some research. I've done some inside things, not outside, but inside things. So I know, being a person that has empathy, I don't have sympathy for people. I don't want sympathy from people. Empathy, yes, because I want to be able to identify with other people's struggle, because we all struggling, especially up under this construct, living in this system. The United States Corporation of America, and people need to understand capitalism and what that's all about. Now, it's a shame that it's here, but it's here. What do you do with it? Try to learn as much as you can. And
You take advantage of the resources that they provide for you, and you use those resources to gain to elevate yourself.
mhm, mhm,
That's what the ideal of capitalism should be about, is
right,
taking advantage of the resources that are presented to you and using them to elevate yourself, not to stay in the same position that you're in. Because if you work a 9 to 5 job, you're going in there 9 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday. You're waiting for the weekend to relax. Why?
mhm,
Why not take advantage of the resources that are presented to you? For example, like I used to work for Georgia College. And when I worked for the college, I took advantage of all the resources that they gave me,
mhm,
including grant writing and contract writing and education. I took advantage of all of those things so that I could elevate myself, so that I could rise above my current situation.
right, mhm.
And that's something that we as a people, as melanated beings, we have to start taking advantage of the resources.
Can I say this? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this in this context, and just,
Mm-hmm.
this is a context. I like to put things in the different context.
Okay.
In my view and in my understanding,
Mm-hmm.
which is limited, but I think is on point, the little bit that I do have, and I'm steady learning. I'm always in class. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you and people like you within the confines of this system, and what has been done in the way of indoctrination, mis-
Mm-hmm.
misleading, you're an exception to a rule.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met people who are exceptions to the rule, who, irregardless of circumstances, dictations from on high, that's meant to confuse, there is a coding within you that keeps you focused, that helps you internalize things instantaneously, and then your ability to act. A lot of people uh, that may be laying latent inside of us, because I'm a late bloomer myself. You know, being out of society for almost 30 years, it gives me another advantage, but not quite to the level where I'm where I want to be right now. But I'm on course. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at our people through the lens of the social constructs and understanding negative programming, a programming that tells you to do everything for a system, and to wait on a system to do things for you that you find yourself doing anyway, but you're doing it from the position of thinking work. Like, I have to work right now for my probation. You know, I can have a business, I can own a business and all of these things, but I have to work as well, because that's a part of the contract for me to be up under supervision. But again, most people are trained and conditioned through these domesticated uh, uh, processes that they take us through. We're domesticated, plain,
Mm-hmm.
plain and simple. with the invention of corporation and banking systems and stuff like that, and ownership of the earth, we were taken out of our natural position, which was to cultivate the land, which feeds us, clothes us, give us the material that we need to build structures, to build shelter, to protect us from the elements. So doing for self was taken away from people. And then to bring people up under a system such as this one, where you have to be trained to be that worker for someone else. That's what we inherit. So when you find people finding it difficult, or in your mind you say, man, they're being difficult, or they just don't want nothing. They want it, but what they don't understand is you have something blocking you that's not you. It's somebody else's thought process that gave you insufficient tools to come up with the thought process to do what you're doing instinctively. And that's what it is. So I always tell the brothers and sisters who are on that level, patience. I know it's sometimes it get frustrated, and trust me, I'm out here with barely nothing, but with a whole lot. Got a good family, good friends. I'm meeting a lot of good people. I'm meeting you today. That's a blessing. I met Big Chief right here on social media, through these social media sites. So we're out here. It's just organizing us, or us finding us already in motion.
Right. So where are you located?
I reside in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, I'm familiar with Jacksonville. I have family there.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm very familiar with Jacksonville. Um, you see my baby?
Hey
What?
there.
What? What?
You don't win and got the partner too.
Yeah, it's three of them in the house and two outside.
Okay.
Move. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Move. Move. Move.
I think Chief is trying to get back in whenever he
He,
finds his coordinates.
he is.
Yeah.
He is. So I guess what I'm saying to you is, uh, you seem to be like-minded. You seem to be willing. You seem to be on point with your perspectives, and I receive that. I respect that.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, I am patient, but my patience are running thin.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
year, I'm matching energies. So if your energy is off, guess what you're gonna get from me?
That's
That's
wisdom. That's
that's
wisdom.
like energy.
Hey,
I'm not. I'm not. I lost my mother on December the 21st.
sorry to hear that. Yes.
So yeah, I'm learning to sit back and absorb myself
Mm-hmm.
to understand me
All right.
from this and through this process. And I'm having to let my siblings go. I'm having to cut off a lot of people because I'm matching their energy. If you give me negative energy, guess what you're gonna get back? You're gonna get a reflection of yourself.
Yeah, I think wisdom is all up and through what you're saying. I'm definitely in that frame of mind as well when it comes to my social media endeavors. 'Cause I really want to really tap into my talents and my gifts. And I really am striving to do this for a living. This is what I do. It's my talent, it's my gift, and I love doing it. So it's not like work to me, But
Right. So
there. Go ahead.
so why haven't you started your own business?
Um, Being honest and not making no excuses. And I'm gonna be the first one to say, when I spoke a little bit about intimidation, um, and I'm gonna put it on this wise, and it's not an excuse. I lived a part of my life um, with school teachers and some of the elders that knew me, that tried to put me in positions to win. I was dubbed one time most likely to succeed.
Hmm.
I wore the little titles that they give us: best dressed, most popular, played sports in school, grew up around sports in South Florida. I'm originally from Fort Pierce, Florida, St. Lucie County. That's my hometown. Um, and so for me, when I transitioned into the streets at a very early age, I was exposed to a lot of things. So my whole frame of mind was criminality.
Mm-hmm.
So I never went through the hardships like a lot of people and to becoming an adult, because I became an adult in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And in prison, we do different things. The hustle never stops, because that's what business is. Business is hustle. It's legitimate
Right.
when you get your license and the different things that you need to do. But there has been, excuse me, there has been a fear, a small amount of fear, but fear nonetheless, and some intimidation, knowing things in theory, and then summoning the courage within yourself to take that step. And for a lot of people, that's a reality for them. So I'm trying to break that curse. Now I'm in position because a business was gifted to me for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one on record. Now it's me getting to the steps of actually going in and doing the basic things like setting up the business account. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a brother. I'm not gonna call him a mentor, because mentor means something different. And most people
Mm-hmm.
know, but I have a friend who is a brother who's in the business that I do have, which is commercial cleaning. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and I've been with him, learning up under him and watching him. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've built up enough courage now that I'm ready to take my steps. I have everything I need around me in support and motivation. The last thing is for me to just to go ahead and do it. And I'm right there at that position now.
Okay.
I hope that's sufficient. And I didn't want to make it sound like an excuse or something like that. Because
Oh no, I will call you out on an excuse now.
yes, yes, ma'am.
That's something I will do.
Mhm.
Um, so no, that sounds like a plan. It sounds like you're winning.
Well, in many ways I am, and in some ways I'm not, and that's just being honest. That's another part of my connection with people. I expose myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I put myself in vulnerable positions to to give strength to other people. Like, it's okay to not be at the top of your game, but don't be satisfied with that, because you want to be at
Right.
your game, and you have the ability to do that, and you need to know that you have the ability to do that. I needed
Right.
I needed to know that I could do that. And so take every little step that you make, and this is for the people that's out here that's feeling intimidation or trying to find the courage. I'm saying take the baby steps that's necessary, and know that when you hear people that's on top of their game and doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're living their lives, and they have access to the coffers of this capitalistic society through their sacrifices, don't always take that as somebody talking down to you. They speaking strength to you. So this is directly for those people like myself who may be trapped inside of that mentality.
Right. I received that. I received that 110%.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, I don't think I have any other questions
Question.
for you.
Feel free to ask me anything too. Like I say, my life is an open book. Um, I don't come forth pretending or acting like I know everything. I'm a student. So I'm always learning things. I'm always open to learn things. I'm very transparent. If I don't desire something, I'm more than likely not gonna do it. But if something is presented to me and I feel a connection to it, and then there's a desire, I'm all in. I'm all in.
I get you.
I'll try anything for a piece of the collective, but
I get you. And I receive that. I respect that.
mhm.
Um,
Well, I
so
got
how young are you?
you, ma'am.
How young are you?
52. Well, I like to say this correctly because I know some people are gonna hear this. My avatar is 52.
Mm-hmm.
My flesh, I am timeless. Time is a concept.
It is.
Okay, so I don't have an age, but my avatar does. My flesh, which was documented according to when I was birthed, April the 25th, 1972. So Avatar is 52 years in rotation, about to hit 54 or 53 in April.
Okay. Okay. So I am 54.
Mhm.
Um, gracefully, I am 54.
Yes, ma'am.
I like I said, I we work for ourselves. We
Mhm.
don't depend on other people.
Mhm.
We don't depend on man, so to speak.
Mhm.
Not saying that there's anything wrong with it. We had to get it the way we live. I mean, my sister works on cars. She builds stuff. She's Mrs. Bob the Builder.
Okay.
she
Absolutely.
um she does lawn care. She does some of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm on the other hand, I'm more of a researcher. I love to research. I love to research.
You like administration work.
So, okay, so a little bit clerical. Yeah, a little.
Indeed. So I got a question for you. Uh,
Uh-huh.
while I have you here, um, what was the most difficult part in making the transition to actually walk into what your thought process was giving you and do for self? What was the hardest thing or the hardest challenge in making that crossover?
Fear.
Can you expound on that?
Fear. Yes, fear of self, fear of succeeding, fear of failing, fear of achieving, fear of conquering my goals, fear of not knowing what tomorrow was going to bring.
Mhm.
Um, the fear, just basic fear. I was afraid to step out there on my own. At first, I was like, okay, I've been doing this for 20 years, but if I step out here by myself, then that means I'm alone.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to be alone. So the fear of being alone too and succeeding.
Oh. So, if you don't mind, I want to dig into this because it's
Mhm.
it's 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 fascinating how some can and some are afraid and some just won't. Um,
Right.
what resources internally did you depend on or lean on, and what sources outside of the self did you use as references to help you uh, gather the courage to overcome the fear? Like, what things did you do? Did you?
Okay. So the first thing that I would lean on was my Aunt Rachel. She's the one that raised me. She made sure that we had the best education. She made sure that we went to the best schools, that we had the best foundation. We traveled to every state in the United States except for Alaska and Hawaii. She made us write research papers on wherever we went. Um, so she was my foundation. She was my rock. Then it came out to Cheryl, you can do this by yourself. You can be alone and do this. And I had to go inside self. I had to go inside myself and say, hey, listen, you can do this. Why are you afraid? Why are you afraid? What makes you fear this? You fear the fact that people are going to talk about you, that they're going to say negative things about you. What is it? And then I had to come to a realization it doesn't matter what they say.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what they think. It's all about how I feel and what I want to do.
Right,
And
right.
so that's what broke me out of that confinement. I had to step out in space and say, this is my space. I conquered this. Now let's step to the next level and conquer that one. Don't ever become complacent. Never become satisfied with the position that you're in.
Okay.
Because once you settle for it, then you have accepted the fate that comes with it. And that means that you're going to be confined by the controlling system or the government or whoever you work for or whatever it is that you're doing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then, as far as other resources that I use the school system. I use the grant writing system. I learned how to write grants. I learned how to do contracts, to write 500 paid contracts. I learned how to establish businesses and make them successful and run them successfully. I had to learn these things for myself. I had to say, okay, self, do you want this bad enough? Yes. So the white people have been doing this for years. So I learned from them. I learned by watching them.
Right. That's wisdom.
I learned by paying attention and getting in these classes and going into these meetings and listening to what they were talking about. And then I started taking notes. I'm an avid note taker.
Okay.
So I started taking notes, and then I started using those notes in my personal life. How do I get 11 acres of land for $1,000? How do I acquire equipment for my house or my yard or cars and all of this stuff without having to pay astronomical amounts? So those resources came in handy. I started doing what they were doing.
Okay.
I started doing what I saw them doing. Okay, so you just went and bought a new Tesla and you paid cash for it. So how did you do that? How did you write that off? How do I get not to have to pay taxes on my property? By putting somebody on my property and saying that they're buried there. Right. You don't have to pay any taxes.
Okay. So I guess let me segue just a minute into
Okay.
because earlier we was talking about you was talking about how do we uh position ourselves to make that connection with other people, because through experience and the BS and people not seeming to even want to come forth, and me saying that word intimidation, it's a real thing, sister. Like, gifted, it's a real thing. People who don't have a basic GED talking to someone from the world of academia that possesses the jargon, that understands certain aspects of the system because of your involvement. My question to you, when honestly and earnestly, when you find yourself in or have found yourself in spaces with these kinds of people, what was what was the initial introduction? How did that go?
Um, so because I was in an administrative position in the office, I was able to have access to a lot of meetings.
Mhm.
Um, and in those meetings, I would pay attention, write down stuff, take notes, and then go back and reread those notes, rewrite them so that I understood it.
Mhm.
So the introduction was I got the position and then I learned how to do what they were doing.
Mhm.
I was hired into a position. I worked Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with an hour lunch break. And on my hour lunch break, I went to class.
Okay.
So my introduction was basically getting the job. And once I got the job, it was a matter of me applying everything that I learned from them.
Okay. Here's another real question I want to add to this. Because a lot of times in some of the conversations I've had on this journey with
Mm.
people really big on and prioritize what we call fun, having a good
Uh-huh.
having a good time, uh,
Mm-hmm.
traveling to post, let people know that we took trips to Dubai or we was in Jamaica, or uh,
Mm-hmm.
buying the latest home minus the information to get it almost tax free and almost for free, minus those things that most people don't even know anything about. Um, the question to you would be this: knowing that we have that difficulty factor attached to what you're trying to do and what you've been trying to display for giving people that hand up, but them minusing, not having the desire to really participate 100%.
Uh-huh.
What things do you have available, that's more of a I'm gonna grab you by the hand approach, uh, and put you in certain situations. Do you have anything like that for people that you may meet?
Yes, I do.
Those fears? Yes, ma'am.
I do. I do. I do have that. I'll hold your hand as far as I can take you.
Okay.
Um, we do that. We have extended our hands to so many people that it has become, yeah, that we extended our hands and we got it bit off. Basically, we drew back a nub.
Oh.
But yes, we do have a hand holding. Hold on. Okay, G just said that he's gonna have to end it and restart it.
Okay.
But
He better
we
come on.
do.
I gotta be at work. I told him I had to be at work to the job at 2:00.
Okay. So yeah, we do have a hand holding program that we utilize. It's each one teach one. So every time we get resources, I have personally gone on Instagram and shared my resources with different people.
Okay.
I made it free to the public. I tell you how to write a business plan, how to start your business, how to get funding for your business. But like I said, every time we extend our hand, we draw back a nub.
I have something I would love to share with you. That was a thought process while I was in prison, because in my mind I was kind of trying to envision myself in a position, once in a position, because of the disadvantage that I had, and trying to turn it into a positive. And it took me back to a time when I was in school, elementary. I had a teacher
Mhm.
who adored me. She adored me. She wanted to adopt me. She said, Miss Pringle. I'll never forget this beautiful Caucasian woman.
Mhm.
And she just took a liking to me. Well, she used to do things for us, like take us to the Audubon Society. I never even knew what that was. She introduced me to that. Me and some of my classmates. We had stayovers at her home, and she was always trying to put us in the room with people,
Right.
so that we could get the exposure. So one of the things I said to myself, when you're in the position to help, I really wanted to take on a project where I took one young man and one young woman and actually walk them through the process step for step. If it's a visit to the bank, we go into the bank. You need to know how these conversations go in real time.
Now that's funny that you said that, because with Cultural Connections Fiali Dalia Yolatli Incorporated, that's exactly what I did. I taught my children. I had a group of 160 kids. I
Mhm.
taught them how to get their first jobs. I taught them how to fill out applications, how to get bank accounts, how to save money, how to um, speak in public, how to do resumes, how to read and write, how to research. I taught them all of these things, and they are now successful young women and young men out there in this world doing those things.
Okay. So again, and this is why I like conversations like this, because the work is being done, but when you are in a position where more can be done, and the more we can get done, and the more people that can grasp it, the more conditions can change within the communities, within society. So I do understand the frustration. Hell, I need to get in your classroom. I need to learn some stuff about saving some money, because I don't have a bone in me that know how to save no damn money. I promise you I don't. But I know, and money